Good evening, Super League fans and managers across the globe. Welcome to another Sunday evening and another night of action in the Super League. Joined in the studio tonight by Haggis manager Ian Campbell. Evening, Ian.
How you doing, mate? How you doing?
All good, all good. And co-commentating tonight is Ryan, who decided not to have Sunday night off and step up to his co-chairman duties. Good evening, Ryan.
Good evening, Martin. Good evening, Super Leaguers.
I think we've kind of in this habit of having three people on pretty much all the time, aren't we? Really, it would be kind of strange to go back to two almost. So all good.
Well, run it as a two tonight, and I'll kind of sit here quietly. And if you want my opinion on something, then you can ask. But yeah,
Oh
I'm,
no.
I am very conscious that sometimes when you have a third person, it does slow things down a little bit.
Well, I think the 2 hour running time is the accepted standard now. So that's just what we have to have to live with. Great to hear the voice of the Scott Powerhouse tonight. The Scott Powerhouse. That's got to be you, Ian, isn't it?
I've never been called that before. I'm certainly Scottish.
Oh well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Haggis powerhouse tonight up against Astra Athletic. We'll obviously leave that game till the end of the evening. As you can see here, we're going to go with the standard lineup. As is presented by the game, so we're starting off with Dudley against Churchtown. I can see Stevens already on the messages, so it'll be a short one for you. So that's good news for you, Nails. Anyway, um, we've got Gazelles against Bostock Stanley. That's another interesting one. Then we're skipping the Haggis one. We've got Lokomotiv Boston against Hools Vikings. That's an exciting matchup, isn't it? We've got Sloths against Fulchester as well. Northern Burn against Leathersford in between them. And then obviously Devils against the Dragons, second against 14th. Let's have a quick look at the results from the, was it Wednesday night? We had the midweek fixtures here.
Good, yeah.
Ian, yourself, Haggis Hunters away to Churchtown. That was an important win for you, wasn't it?
It was. It came out of nowhere. I never expected that. If you were going to ask the result of the night, I think you could really look past that, to be honest, because our form had been horrific. 7 or 8 without a win, so it was a much needed win.
And well, I mean, Churchtown hadn't been on the best of form, hadn't they? I mean, their last couple of games, they'd been kind of distracted by that Ocean, whatever they, whatever they call it. So they'd lost against Boston, and then they'd had that 1-0 victory. So
There's a Sloth game as well, which for
there's
some
a
reason
there's a disappearing Sloths game that they'd lost in between that as well. But a good result for you guys, and 2 goals from Landon Donovan. That's I mean, look, you got to give the boy credit. He's scoring goals, isn't he? Which was a bit of a problem for you guys before. So is he's featuring tonight as well, isn't he?
Yeah, as he told me to dedicate that double to yourself, Martin. So I know you've been clambering to get him into the team, and he's basically backed up what you've been saying about him being the second best striker in the game, mate.
Second best.
Yeah. Hopefully, he can do the business tonight.
Yeah. I mean, Chicago, who apparently is the best, he'll have overtaken him shortly in terms of goals scored for the season. Ryan, was there any of the other results that stood out for you? I mean, Haggis Hunters, as Ian mentioned there, it was a good win for them. Bostock Stanley,
I
maybe.
thought Bostock played really well. Locomotive, I don't think it might be the first game all season they conceded 3 goals. They've been so solid at the back, so to score 3 against them was huge. Obviously, there was a big game between Hools and Spartak, which was really tight and quite enjoyable. And you've got to give credit to Mr. Edwards for basically turning over the strong, the kind of relentless Devils. That was a bit of a turn up for the Bucks.
Yeah, good result for Northern Burn there. They're putting a bit of a run together, as we spoke about maybe 3 games ago or something like that. Now is really the time, yeah. I mean, maybe it's a little bit late for Northern Burn, but this is the time when the teams in the bottom half need to start looking at runs if they want to get anywhere. But a good result for them, and obviously with Terry Henry joining, that's made a big difference to them and their form as well. So yeah, very solid Northern Burn performance there and we'll see what the Devils can do tonight. They're up against the Dragons, obviously. But conceded 4 to me. Oh yeah. That was that Hools game. Apparently that Lokomotiv Boston. When was that? Oh yeah, early on in the season, there's a 4-0 defeat to the Vikings there. Anyway, We've got a lot of action, a lot of games to get through this evening, so I think we'll just start off with Dudley Hill against Churchtown, and yeah, we'll jump between the co-commentators and see what you make of this. I'll let Ryan speak about Kieran's side, because he's obviously got some cross-border friendships going on there, maybe, and he has played them recently, so we can see what he makes of the changes. So I'll ask you, Ryan, Hodges changed up his tactics, new look for the Leathersford Old Boys. Two new
I
strikers.
thought we were doing the church pen again.
Sorry, my bad. Oh dear, dear, dear. Dudley Hill. That's what I wanted to press. I don't know why I just went into
It's the
that one.
colours, mate. It's the colours.
They're not that similar, are they? They're the other way around. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Well, what a perfect start to the evening. Well, I only wasted a minute before someone pointed it out. Thanks very much for talking over me there, guys.
I didn't want to stop you. I thought you might have just gone off on a tangent.
Yeah. Well, I could have pretended it was a ghost game. We've had a few of them recently, haven't we? Anyway, Dudley Hill. What do we make, Ryan? What do you make of Dudley Hill? I'll come to you first anyway. It's been very much an up and down season. Let's have a look at the fixtures. I mean, a good couple of results in the last 3 or 4 games. He's kind of turned it around after that 7-1 game against the Gazelles. What do you put that down to from the manager's perspective? What do you think is a key behind their improved fortunes, or whatever the phrase is?
I think he'll quite likely say he ran a bit of a disaster before that. The players he's got, you probably would have expected to be, if not in the top 6, but definitely challenging for them for a position there. He's switched his formation and settled on one, which I think is a good one as well. He's brought in Stefan Dalmat as a more recognised centre midfielder, pushed Alex up to alongside Ronaldo, which means he didn't have to play any of these players like Ljungberg, Selakovic, who you could have considered maybe a slight weak link. I think that front three is to be reckoned with. Obviously, Crespo now starting to turn it on a little bit. Damiano Tomasi, though, I think he's brought him in from Sloths. Obviously, let Francesco Totti go, who wasn't doing the business, but Tomasi, they 4 games, 8.25, and I mean, he was very close to winning the game against Swindon as well. So it does look like he's turned a corner. Yeah, just picking up on Mega Horse's comment in the chat there. Mazzantini has been brought in because he's had a hole between the sticks. Similar to Dragondre, the goalkeepers haven't been doing the job. He had Kiotis, who he's dropped to the reserves, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
He's had Babos, who he's been absolutely awful. He had Runje in for a couple of games, Langfield in for a game. And to be honest, he's not really managed to get anyone performing well. So he's brought Mazzantini in to kind of, as a bit more of a older, steady head. I think he's solid enough first season. Obviously, he's going to have to kind of reinvest in the future in a goalkeeper, or he might stick Mazzantini for the next couple of seasons and then bring Kiotis in.
Yeah, hope for the
bit of a difficult one.
Yeah,
really,
hope for the bit of a hidden hope. I mean, just putting in someone. I mean, I think he's tried all his 5 keepers, or 6, or however many he has now. So we'll see. I don't think Garunia did such a bad job. I mean, his average was poor, but he didn't let in that many goals. But I can see what he's he's trying here. Dalmat, he's a recent addition as well in that kind of like pivotal central midfield role where we've seen like Boyer, Ferguson, other players like that excel. He's obviously made a very good start here, 4 games so far, and a goal and 2 assists, 1 man of the match award. What do you make about Dalmat's inclusion? I think he left the previous incarnation of the Super League. He left fairly early on. I don't think he ever really got a run out anywhere. Can't really remember.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was a bad decision by the then Phoenix manager to sell him. Yeah, he's someone who I kind of got drafted with Phoenix and quite liked at first, and then put my team out, and I couldn't find a place for him in there. And I offered him out around the league, and no one wanted him. So that's why he left the league. Since then, I've actually had him on a home save. I was actually in Spain, I think, with Sociedad, and I was end up getting him quite cheap, so I brought him in, and he played really, really well. So I mentioned on comms a few weeks ago that he should get a run out, and then Steve, I think he basically wants to make sure he gets the credit for this. But then the week after I'd said it on comms, he brought him in, but apparently he was coming in anywhere. But since he has come in, he's not looked back, has he? And he is one of those. He's not a defensive midfielder, attacker midfielder, in the same vein as Ferguson, Emerson, who's before you. Yeah, he is one of those CM only, or he plays left as well. But they do seem to, when you have got one of those midfield only, when you put them in midfield on their own, they do seem to perform well.
Well, it's gone okay for Dudley, obviously so far this last couple of weeks or whatever. So we'll see if he can continue that. Let me see Georgetown. We've got Kieran's squad here. Here we are. So bit of a strange one for Kieran. I'm just going to double check the arrows because I think he's got a thing when he sends through the formation that sometimes the arrows doesn't come through. So I think they are actually a little bit different to this. Ian, what do you make of the formation, the kind of Valen thing?
Very interesting. So the Aster, it was definitely a Valen thing now about the arrows. I think Kieran, he's done well this season. He'll be disappointed that I destroyed him in the last game, no doubt. Perhaps he's maybe panicking a bit now and trying this narrow. I mean, he's not. I don't know if he's had a settled formation as such. It's certainly not been narrow. I can't recall him playing narrow all season. We know how this can go. It can either go well or fucking shite. Valen done well with the players. I don't know if he's got the players that Valen had. Zanetti's obviously good. Pawe is okay. Mendes de Silva I like, but again, I don't think it's as strong as that Valen side. Okaronko's been quality for him at the back, isn't he? Aymar's quality. I mean, he's a good side, but I'm no sold on the narrow, to be honest with you.
Actually playing Nuno Gomez up front, he is as well. Oh yeah, okay, well there you go. Fair enough. I mean, could you make the argument that maybe you would play Brett Emerton instead of Mendes de Silva in that central midfield role, or does that not matter? Which one would you prefer?
I'd definitely have Emerton on the side like all day long. Even the cat, I'm not a big fan. I know he's done okay in the Super League, but no, I'd probably Mendes de Silva. He's still a bit. He's not as good as he gets, if you know what I mean. So I'd have Emerton there, or even I know Zanetti. Zanetti can even play centre mid as well, to be honest with you. But no, I'd be playing Emerton all day long, personally.
Yeah, but good at getting assists apparently. And what do you make of Antonio Lopez, Tomadeira, top scorer for him here? I mean, he's fallen off a little bit recently, not scored in a handful of games, but he's still in 10 for the season. Nuno Gomez comes in to partner him. What do you make of his attacking lineup, his attacking options? He has got Di Cisse on the bench as well, but maybe not the strongest options in terms of attack.
He's got Tomadeira, which 10 and 17 is pretty good going in the league. I mean, I'd bite his arm off for
a 10 and 17 striker.
Aye, totally, mate, absolutely. I mean, I think any of my strikers have got that combined, you know what I mean? They've been really bad, but I think his squad's probably more set to play one up top with having that one starter. I mean, you can start Tomadeira, he's good enough. The rest are, I mean, Cisse, I'd probably play Cisse. I know he's still a bit young in the game, but I can't really say nothing about poor strikers, to be honest with you, but he's certainly still a threat. Like Aymar getting forward as well is pretty good.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it works out. We'll see how it works out for them tonight. Why is it now doing this? Right, there we go. And there we go. Your prediction for this one, Ian?
I think just we've seen Churchton go narrow. I think it's going to be a narrow Dudley Hill win, 2-1.
And Ryan, what do you make of Churchtown going narrow?
It could go either way. I agree with Ian there, but purely on form, I think Dudley Hill is the form team, or one of the form teams in the league at the moment. Churchtown bang out a form apart from the kind of the Oceania Cup, so I think Dudley Hill should win this 2-3-1.
Well, let's see. We'll kick it off and see how it goes. Dudley Hill kicking off the action against Churchtown. Can see the predictions coming in. A couple of good ones in terms of home wins. Wooder saying Churchtown. Alf says 2-2. Let's have a look. Breezy and wet, so there could be keeper issues here. Oh, it's Ronaldo opening the scoring for Dudley Hill. That's a poor start for Churchtown, conceding so early on to Ronaldo, who's I mean, maybe not been a world beater, but definitely found some form at Dudley and not put in a bad shift. Certainly better than we've seen him in other seasons in the Super League. We're up to half an hour now, and it's been fairly quiet since the first goal came in. Churchtown with a couple of chances, but they've not really threatened. Although
Does
just
seem like
before.
we've got a good Ronaldo, don't we? Ronaldo does seem to be kind of creating a lot of chances for himself and for Crespo. So he does
Mm.
look like we've got a good version of him, even if he's not been, as you say, setting the world alight.
Yeah, I mean a fairly sort of kind of quiet, even-ish first half. A little bit better from Dudley's side. I think Churchtown side probably getting used to the new formation and not really finding their feet yet. Good possession for Dudley Hill there as well. Ronaldo ran past Nakata and some other people and just scored an excellent goal apparently, unassisted. Nope, Tomasi gets an assist for that one because why not? Yeah, Dudley Hill there. I mean, we spoke about them at the beginning, Ryan. Dalmat in with kind of a solidish formation, but no one really standing out, obviously, apart from Ronaldo getting the goal. Tony Adams, what do you make of him? I mean, his stats are obviously brilliant, but he is getting on a bit. Play him for season one, and then say that was it, thanks, or what do you make of Tony
Yeah,
Adams?
yeah, similar vein to I think Martin Keown as well. Another one, yeah. Get what you can out of him this season, and then move on. I think that Steve's got a wealth of goods at the centre half as well. Obviously, he's got Ayala in the team
Hmm.
there. I think
Hmm.
he's got Rustico in defence. Patrick Anderson on the bench is a good defender as well.
Yeah.
So I think he's got plenty of options. He's not short in that position. But yeah, I completely agree with that. Keep
Hmm.
Adams in. He's a great captain. And yeah, as
Yeah,
soon as you see those stats fall off, then get rid.
yeah. Well, we'll see what Stephen says in terms of substitutions if he wants to make any. Churchtown's first half performance, Ian, that's not worked out well so far. I mean, I would say that you should always give a new tactic at least 180 minutes to see what it's actually doing. But that could have gone better, couldn't it?
Pretty disappointed. Just that first half. I know it's only 1-0 and 1-0, and the stats. It seemed to me a lot more in Dudley Hill's favour. It seemed quite a comfortable 1-0. I just couldn't see Churchtown coming in there. It's just the feel I got. Obviously, they're still capable of doing it, but the stats are looking great for people. Like, you can see another Dudley Hill goal in the second half.
Well, we'll see what happens. Steven says no changes at halftime. He's been booked winning tackles. He's off if he misses one, according to according to Alf. So yeah, I mean it's Tony Brown. I don't know what he is like in terms of strictness of refereeing. But anyway, Stephen Wright says continue. So that's what we're going to do with the second half and see if Dudley can continue their run here of good form. There was an early chance for Zanetti there, and Alex is now trying to create a couple of things for Dudley. Yeah, time is kind of flying. Only 10 minutes left, and nothing really in terms of sustained pressure and sustained chances. There's been like the odd one here and there. That's Crespo coming forward there, close to increasing the lead. Wasn't to be. Just a couple of seconds left now. I think last chance. Yep. That's it. He sees it out there. As mentioned, nothing really in terms of sustained pressure. A shit ton of offsides as always, because everyone plays with an offside trap and forward runs. So we always see that, but that's to be expected. Really good in terms of the Dudley Hill overall performance here. 75% passes completed, loads of tackles won, and good headers as well. And Davids stays on. Fairly even in terms of distribution. No point in looking at the match report. We'll have a look at the Dudley Hill stats. Roberto Carlos down that left-hand side, really doing an excellent job there, Ryan. Ashley Cole is another one, the DLs, but they do seem to perform pretty well in the DML role as well. So it's kind of a little bit of the opposite when people sometimes move the more attacking players down there. We've seen Estebaria and people like that down at sort of a wing back, but it seems as if the DLs can do it as well. What do you make of Roberto Carlos? I mean, I guess it's not someone you'd normally sign just because of the price and Real Madrid being reluctant to letting him go.
Yeah, that is completely right. I don't think I might have had him once or twice in the home save, but not often. Yeah, you think sometimes you kind of get players like Dede and say Roberto are more likely to come, so you're more likely to sign them. But yeah, he's been solid enough for Dudley Hill. I think he was at least part of this time last time around, he was at the old Swindon Devils team, so he was
Mm.
never really pulling up trees there.
Mm-hmm.
He's had a good game this week. But I think kind of looking at that, I think the thing that Steve will be most happy with is another clean sheet. Mazzantini's two clean sheets in 2 now.
Yeah.
You mean it's 3 points on the board. That's one of his playoff rivals as well. So it's a really solid performance. Again, Davids and Tomasi, might be an 8 and a 7, but they've been really, really solid, clean sheet. Yeah, I think Steve will be happy.
Yeah, he's definitely turned his. I think after 5 games, I think after that 7-1, it was obviously a bit of an issue. But I think we can. I think after 5 positive results, I think you can call that turning your season around. So whether he makes the playoffs or not remains to be seen. But he's definitely sort of like halted the slide. To be honest, the slide. Talking about the slide, let's have a look at Churchtown. Tomadera did not like playing up front with Nuno Gomez. Wasn't really a great game for Churchtown, was it, Ian?
It was. It's stats on the great. I don't think we'll be seeing an arrow again. I think was an 8 getting a 9. I think Madeira's best up front on his own, and with the strikers that Kieran's got, I think he's going to have to look at that. To be honest with you, get Emmert on the side as well, but I think he's got to be a tad concerned. I believe that's 3 defeats on the spin now for him. So is his playoff hopes evaporating? Quite possibly.
Yeah, I mean, still obviously a few games to go, but it's got to be a little bit concerning. Tomadera was really his key goal scorer early on the season, and that's now I don't know how many without a goal that he's got. As you mentioned there, he's probably better on his own. He's still got Zanetti, who is probably one of the best wide players. That's his best performer centrally as well. So maybe that's something that he needs to look at. Nakata came in, did an okay job, but I mean, as mentioned, I like to see people giving formation at least 180 minutes before they pass judgment on it. But it doesn't look as if the two strikers are anywhere near forming a deadly partnership there. I mean, I know they're up against Ayala and Tony Adams, but still, 6 attempted headers and none won between them. 4 shots, neither of them hitting the target. That's not. It's not playoff form. Let's put it that way. So
I think Kieran played a narrow formation last season, but I think he had 3 up front, and I think it was like Van Nistelrooy.
Yeah.
Is the one that springs to mind. So I mean, he was obviously able to play it last season, but I just didn't think he's got the squad to be doing it this season, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's probably missing a couple of players compared to what he had. Okoronkwo can't play a bad game. No, he does really, really well, does he? Anyway, moving swiftly on. And a decent enough start to the evening. Maybe not the most exciting game, but they will definitely take it in Dudley. They'll be dancing in the streets tonight, probably. Next up, we have got the Gazelles. So let's see if we can have a look at Mr. Craig and his team. Yeah, so they've after that they've had the opposite kind of form, but they've done the same as what Churchtown did. So after that 7-1 win, obviously against Dudley, it's been pretty poor for them. So Ian's had his go at explaining the the narrow formation. Ryan, what do you make of Craig's decision to go with a kind of Val and pineapple thing?
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of injuries, and he's probably just trying to shoe on his best 11 players onto the pitch. I'm not sure he's got that right with Abel Zavio in there. I think he's absolutely terrible. I don't think Michael Valak's much better. I think his front three's right, though, and a lot of questions last week about where Raul was and why he wasn't playing in the right position. Jeremy's back in the team. I think he's a good thing. Yeah, Kieran's team, when it's at full strength, can be pretty frightening, and he's had a lot of injuries recently. Will the narrow work? I think now's the time to try it with no Cafu. And obviously, he's not fancying bringing Angelo Delivio into the starting lineup. So, yeah, I think he's just trying something different. I think he played the 4-1-3-2 last few games, and it's not worked. So, I mean, I can understand it more when you're on a losing streak like that, like Kieran is.
Yeah.
Like like Kieran was as well.
Yeah, 4 games without a real positive result and without a real positive performance as well. So I think Ferdinand at the back is obviously someone he's missing. Cafu, someone he could do with as well. You could even argue that Figo could maybe do a decent job in one of the attacking roles, or giving you a few more options anyway. But we'll obviously see how it pans out for Gazelles tonight. Marinho, someone who's I wasn't sure if he would feature a lot because he don't know, he hasn't been rated by any of his previous managers, I think, in the Super League. But his central defenders and the players down here, they're kind of good enough, aren't they? So I mean, they should form a pretty solid base. I will say Abel Xavier is maybe a bit of a mystery. I mean, but I don't think he has any options really in that particular area. He could play Medina maybe, but would you really? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He could put Yeremis as defensive midfielder and bring Emre in. I think Emre had a good run last time when he came into the team. Lima's not a bad player at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there are options though, and I think Kieran's one of the few managers who hasn't delved into his reserves that much as well. So
Yeah.
there are options about.
Yeah, well, they're up against Bostock Stanley, obviously, tonight. So let's have a look at Bostock and how they line up. So Ian, you'll be what is this? Is this a from you've been having a few good times with Mr. Sadler here. Is this a formation you're familiar with? I don't think I've seen this before, or have I?
Martin, just to interrupt, sorry, I think Titov and Castroman are the wrong way around. That might be my bad.
Well, I'll double check, but I think this one was yours, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's almost certainly my mistake. I'll let Ian continue to talk through the team. But
Right, well,
Sorry, man. Somebody tried to phone me there, and it's took your screen off. I've just got Martin Place CM, just your logo on my screen, so I don't know how I fucking get around that.
well, I'll try and reshare it. Probably. Right, just a second while we
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. Share screen. Right, where do we go? Preview unavailable. Oh yeah, here we go. All right, that should be you guys again.
That's thank you.
All right, very good, very good. So one at the back for Scott Sadler and the boys here. What do you the candle holder formation apparently as it's known? What do you make of Bostock Stanley's formation and the way they're going? They obviously had a good result last time out.
I think the one at the back, I think it's it's been more successful at home. I think Leathersford were playing one at the back earlier on in the season, and I think he had a relative amount of success with it. But away from home, it's a wee bit sus, in my opinion. He's obviously not want to change it up because he got a good result in his last game, Scotty. But it can work. Again, I just think away from home, it's maybe a wee bit open at the back. But he's certainly picked up. He was on a horrific bit of form, a bit like myself. But it's a strong team. I know. I see Zidane has been punted. I believe he's not going to be playing again. So that's maybe bodes well for him. Eto's been on fire as well. So it's a good side Scott he's got there.
Yeah, I mean, since Zidane, he got a goal in his 11 games and 664 average, so it's pretty much similar to what he did when he was at the Devils. And yeah, he's obviously fallen out of favor now. And Etu has had a couple of good games, hasn't he? For Scott recent. I mean, maybe not recently, but he chipped in with a couple of goals not that long ago. So not the worst definitely. And he's obviously counting on both Smith and Vieri. Alan Smith, did he not score a bunch of goals in one game? I seem to remember that happening. Or was that my?
Yeah, I think they came in bunches to Smith, definitely.
Much like he did when he was at at Astor. I think Alan Smith was kind of the same. He scored a bunch and then played a bunch without scoring. But bit brave going so attacking as you mentioned there away from home. I think we had I think that's what Dudley tried, wasn't it, when it didn't go well in that 7-1 game that they had. But either way, it could work out for Bostock Stanley, obviously. That one was Tariba West, though. You don't think Lasisi and Tariba West are comparable, would there? Oh well, we'll see. What do you think, Ian? Bostock, do they have enough to win away here?
Look at it. The two 1-11s, I'd say Bostock were probably stronger, but I do worry a wee bit with one at the back. But seeing Craig's gone narrow, I'm going to say a draw here, score draw 1-1.
And Ryan, what do you think? Gazelles with that narrow formation up against the quite sort of open and expansive Bostock formation. There could be lots of goals in this one, maybe.
Yeah, I'm on the fence here. I think it might be a high score though. Could go either way. So, I'll go Gazelles 3-1, 3-2.
Oh, that could be exciting. I'd take that. If it was that exciting, I'd be more than happy. Let's kick it off and see what happens. Early goal for Castroman. Bostock Stanley opened the scorings after just 3 minutes. Had an early goal in the first. Oh, and there's Kluivert. So important for Gazelles for Kluivert to get back in the goals, isn't it? Really, if they're gonna turn the fortunes around this season, they're gonna have to get Patrick Kluivert free scoring again. I think that's got to be key for them. And there he is on the spot again, up against one at the rear. Kluivert is proving a little bit too strong so far.
Raoul and Kluivert against Lassisi is a bit of a mismatch, isn't it, really?
I mean, it's...
Ian might have been right about the away from home one at the back. May not have been the best.
I mean, up against two strikers, I'd always feel a little bit not nervous, but I'd always be a little bit sort of cautious. I mean, to be fair, it's only been the actual accuracy of the shooting that's been the main difference between the two sides, and a bit of tackling here. I see some what do you call it, predictions coming in. I don't know if my chat is knackered or if there's a huge delay on now, unfortunately, because I've only just seen all of the predictions coming in, and it's half time.
Same here, mate.
Right. Okay. Right. For the people watching at home, you won't notice anything, but the co-commentators will probably see the screen go black here. I will just double check the latency. Excellent condition.
The actual stream's running bang on, Martin.
All right. Okay. So it's probably just the comments then that are a little bit. Okay, well we'll deal with that when we get to it. I was thinking in the last game it took a while for Steven's kind of tactical update to come through. So right, I am just going to try and close the comment section and reopen it. Or is it just me, maybe?
Mine's the same. Mine's running behind as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was 2-1 by the time Fifey's 2-0 prediction.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. And there are no comments in the chat about what we're actually talking about now. Right, comments are slow today. Yeah, that's come through now. Okay, well we're just gonna have
I'm gonna say and type the word test at the same time. Test.
That came up straight away, like now anyway.
Oh right, okay. Well, it looks as if it's kind of right. Well, it looks like we're back to like a 10-second delay or something in the comment, so that's okay. That's not too bad. I don't know what happened, but it seems to be okay now.
They're loving it. Sorry, lads. Stop putting tests.
Oh gosh, right. Well, let's have a look then at that first half. Not a lot happening for from a Bostock Stanley perspective in terms of getting or having the ball in the area, but it's been dangerous when it's been there, mostly in the middle of the park. Let's see how the goals came about. Milevsky with the cross, Castroman coming in, finishing off the move there. That was Raoul with the cross to Kluivert for the equalizer, and then it was Raoul again. So Raoul probably with 2 assists there. So he's back in form. Right, okay. What came up about 10 seconds before you said it on mine? Right, okay. So do apologize for this. Managers, obviously, as soon as you see the halftime thing, we'll leave it a little bit longer in terms of you getting your substitutions in for halftime. I'll give it a wee bit of extra and maybe flash up the teams first. So I'm not sure why it's slow for some people and fast enough for others. So Scott, just let us know whatever you want to do in terms of substitutions if there is anything. Ian, so has he gone too offensive or too attacking? Offensive to attacking rather.
I think it's probably just the one for me. I know it's maybe a bit obvious to say, but the one at the back I think struggling a wee bit. Obviously, Christian Veria sees on a 5. I think his head might have been turned with talk of him coming home to Haggis, so that doesn't really surprise me. It's been a bit of a crappy half for Scotland. I know he took the lead, but I can't really see them getting back in it, to be honest with you. And I really do. I just think it's down to that one at the back away from home. For me, it doesn't work. It can be good at home, but when you, as Ryan said, when you're up against Clivert and Rowell against Lassisi, it's a bit of a mismatch. So I think he could be struggling here.
Yeah, he says we've created as much as they have, finishing the only difference. Yeah, but maybe they're in a better position to finish because they're up against only one one defender. Whereas, but who knows? Who knows? Obviously, we only have our imagination to go by. In terms of Gazelles, fairly decent first half performance from them, as you mentioned there. What the? Right, all of the on my comms, all of the chat is just replaying itself from the beginning.
No, it's not happening on mine.
Right.
No,
Okay.
it seems to be my last comment. Zidane for Titov for Scott. That's the last comment I've got up.
Right. Okay.
Got Sadler saying we've created as much as they have, finishing the only difference. Steve Wright, Zizou back in the fold to save his career.
Right. Okay. That's just
pointing out that Vieira's getting a 5.
Yeah, that's just popped up to my. That's just popped up on mine now. Okay, well, I won't discuss the. I won't waste any more time discussing the comments. We'll just have to see at halftime. You guys, Ryan, if you can keep an eye on it and just let me know at halftime what people see, because otherwise I'm going to sit here staring at that the whole time. So that's fine. We'll kick off the second half and we'll see if Gazelles can.
You brought Zidane on, yeah?
Yeah, I made the swap for Zidane on for Titov. All right, so let's have a look. Raul, the assist king, says Potato Mourinho. After I said I wouldn't have a look at it. Jeremies and Ballack were on 6s, by the way. I noticed that at halftime.
Raul creating chances as well.
Oh my goodness, it's 2-2. It's Zinedine Zidane who steps up to the bar. After being dropped, he comes back in and could potentially be the difference in this game for Bostock Stanley.
Imagine if he gets the winner. Just imagine.
Has there been anyone sniffing for Zidane? Anyone looking to take him on, give him a chance?
I don't know. I think
doubtful.
Yeah, he's been so poor, hasn't he? That you'd think a lot of people would be wary.
And it's Raul. It's Raul right at the death. Oh my goodness.
Who said 3-2?
Wow.
There were some people who said 3-2. I think there were 3-2 predictions in there. You did for definite, Ryan. I don't know if there was anyone else. You changed it right at the last minute, didn't you? Okay, well, still a much better performance overall by the Gazelle. So if you're looking at it like this, probably a deserved victory for them. 3-2. I mean, Bostock Stanley looked as if they were coming back into it with Zidane converting that penalty. What?
I've just seen Wooders coefficient test twice, so I have his streams like 6 months behind. But yeah.
Right. Okay.
Sorry, I'll let you continue.
Right. Oh, we'll skip the comments for now and just hopefully it won't impact the show too much. Let's have a look and see what happened in terms of the chances here. Lucia tackled and knocked Cole to the ground. Penalty was awarded. Zidane ran up to the ball and scored. And then it was right at the death. We had a Ballack with a cross in, and Raul out jumped the keeper and got the header on. Didi gets a 10, which is a little bit of an odd one, to be honest, considering he got no assist or goals. And then we have someone with 2 goals and someone with 2 assists and a goal, and both of them only getting 9. Raul, again, man of the match, despite not being the highest rated player on the pitch. Always a little bit unusual to see that.
Yeah, I think it's all round solid performance. Obviously, they conceded 2 goals, which makes me a little bit surprised that the defensive players have scored so well, with the exception of Lucio. Dede's been solid, but yeah, I agree, probably doesn't deserve a 10. That's probably more Clivert's bag, that, with 2 goals, being absolutely solid, most of his shots on target. I mean, that's exactly what Craig needed, and against a good team as well, to kind of get his team back to winning ways, grind it out. Good result then.
Yeah, I mean, room for improvement still. As we mentioned there, Jeremies would perhaps do better in a different role. He's got a 6. Lucio's on a 6 as well. I mean, he's obviously got Ferdinand to come back at some point. Okay, but
if Dede did a load of runs, if you click the blue arrow to the right, it probably
that's why 12. Yeah, there he is. 12 runs and 4. These are interceptions, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he did a pretty good job if we're looking on the on the second half of the screen there. So yeah, that could have been it. But Raul picks up man of the match, gets the 2 assists, and proves again how important he is. Ian, Bostock Stanley, a little bit unlucky perhaps. It looks as if they were they were about to get something there, but didn't turn out that way in the end.
I think he was quite unfortunate. But after the Zidane penalty, I thought it had score draw written all over it. I don't know whether if he had 2 at the back, it would have been a bit more solid, and he would maybe could have won the game. But he's done better probably than I expected. I think he can consider himself pretty unfortunate there. Not the greatest ratings. Vieri again a bit underwhelming. I had that problem myself with him last season. He's a bit streaky. The rest, keeper 6. Zidane maybe played himself back into Scott's thoughts. We'll wait and see. But I think
Possibly.
he can't be too disappointed. Again, I thought he'd done well to come back into it better than I expected probably. But again, maybe 2 at the back away from home, maybe no conceded 3. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a chance to take, obviously, and it hasn't really paid off. I mean, it wasn't a complete disaster, but they did create, I would say, far too many chances for compared to what they perhaps should have. But anyway, Gazelles will definitely take that. An interesting game, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know if the chat seems to have caught up a little bit, but we'll see what happens in the next game. Next up, we have we'll skip the Hackers Hunters. So we've got Lokomotiv Boston up against the Hools Vikings.
Big game. Big game.
Big game here. I mean, top of the table. It's always going to be interesting to see what they get up to. And whose Vikings are obviously really an informed side. Lokomotiv Boston is back to a more sort of familiar 2-6-2 flat, a very familiar Boston formation that we've definitely seen. Ricardinho, Effenberg, Deisler. I think he wants a bit more beef in the midfield after the result he had there at on Wednesday against Bostock. Ryan, what do you make of Lokomotiv Boston's tactics? Sensible, I guess this is where he got most of his 1-0 wins for and all that, wasn't it?
Yeah, one of my favourite tactics. It's a little bit of embellishment on the 4-1-3-2. He's got a really solid kind of defensive line there. Contra's fantastic on the right hand side. Decor, one of my favourite players. And then he's Lewis and Cannavaro. There's not many better defensive partnerships in the league. I'm surprised Kaladze has not made an input on the left hand side. He's not really played much at all this season. I don't think. 10 games, maybe I missed a few of them, but he's not really been pulling up any trees. Ricardinho's been the informed man, absolutely fantastic. Effenberg has not really pulled up any trees and not done much since he was injured. And Dyser's not played too much, so maybe Manuel Petit would have done a different job in midfield. I'd have probably started with Inzaghi over Elba up top, but I really love Amoroso, great player. It's a really solid team. I'm just trying to think of different things that you can do, but I can understand he's been playing the 3 up top trident thing a few times, which hasn't really taken the league by storm. So I think it's back to the tried and tested, and hopefully he'll grind out a 1-0 win for him.
That's probably part of the plan. Get Ricardinho in there, maybe get something out of Effenberg. Effenberg made a really good start to the season, but didn't really, as you mentioned there, didn't really do much after coming back from his injury. But let's have a look at his opponents this evening. Hools Vikings, who Jens has already predicted will win this one. Let's see. Ian Hart's out. Oh, that's a shame for Ian Hart, isn't it? Ian, what do you make of Hull's Vikings and the I mean, they've definitely had a turnaround. If anyone's had a turnaround to the season, it's definitely been the Hull's Vikings after that start that they had, and they are now definitely in contention for playoffs.
Absolutely. I mean, I know Jens pre-season he'd sort of built his squad on a narrow sort of tactic. So I think he was playing at like a couple of guys at the wing back position or LB and RB position. But I see he's got Liverani and Sagnol there now, who can play there all day long. He's 1-11. I mean, that's the front 3 are frightening. Beckham, I'm not a huge fan of. If I was to have him, I'd probably play him right midfield. But I see he's got Pizarro on the bench. He's somebody I've been having a wee think about. Nikiforenko, he's maybe not hit the heights we know he's capable of. And Dai is an absolute beast. Ambrosini's good. These two centre halves are quality, and he's got the best keeper in the game, in my opinion. So that's a frighteningly good squad. I think he's again. I think he lost the first 4 games of the season, and folk were writing him off. But it just sort of reiterates that you can go on fucking runs, and you can't. Nothing's decided until the last game. Let's face it. But no,
Yeah.
they've got a really good squad there.
Definitely strong, and as you mentioned there, I think he even had some good results playing some players that you'd normally play, like maybe at DC. He played them as fullbacks until he could get like I think Sanyol. Has he brought Sanyol in recently? He hasn't he? Oh no, he hasn't. He's just.
No.
I thought. Oh, strange. I thought he was a recent addition to the squad. Oh well, never mind. Never mind that then.
Liverani is.
Liverani. Oh, it was the other side where he brought someone in. Yeah, he got him from Aston. Well, to be fair, he had been very poor at Aston, but he's definitely improved as he's gone to the Wolves Vikings here. Van Nistelrooy, eight goals in 17. Tsigalko 5 in 13. Nikiforenko not really done anything, and I mean, I know they've been getting good results, but is he getting the return? You said a frightening front three, but is he getting the return that you would perhaps expect? Would you expect even more from those three than what have they got between them? 8, was it 5 and 5? So 18 goals, 3 players with 18 goals between them. Is that okay in terms of return for players of that quality? Would you say, Ian?
Well, in a home save, definitely no. I mean, you'd be looking at Tsigalko, a goal a game, easy. Nikiforenko likewise in that position, but they're up against the best centre halves and defensive midfielders in the game, so I think you've maybe got to take that into consideration. But as again, if he's winning matches, if his goals are spread out the team, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, you want your strikers to be firing on all cylinders, but I think he'd be quite happy with the way it's going now. And as I say, the Super League's a bit tougher than domestic home save leagues. You know what I mean?
Domestic football, true. So if you were to predict this one, Ian, do you think Wolves can continue their good run of form, or do you think Boston will wipe up that result they had at the midweek fixtures and get back to their winning ways?
Looking at the 1-11 on paper, you would say Wolves all day long, but we know how good a season Boston have had. I think Wolves are going to edge us, but it's going to be tight, maybe 2-1, 3-1, something like that.
Well, there's a few people saying 2-1. Ryan, you've already said 2-1 either way, so I don't need to ask you. I can see that. And a couple of people going for draws here. Well, we'll kick it off and we'll see if Boston can get a 1-0 win, or if Wolves can continue their run of form and the climb that they're doing up the table after being sitting rock bottom. They are definitely mixing it with the big boys now. But let's kick this one off and see who comes out on top. Good start for Boston, actually. I think it's been mostly pink and white.
Yeah.
Oh, and there is Elba. Elba opening the scoring for the home side. Liverani looking dangerous coming forward for Wolves Vikings, though. I'm not familiar with Liverani in a wingback position. Oh, there's Elba again. Oh, but there is well, he's got Kalatza on the bench, so we'll just pop him on there.
Over Matty Holland.
Sorry?
I'd have brought Matty Holland on.
I'll give. I was going to say, well, he says Kalatza. I said I was going to leave it and give Reeves the option. I mean, David fucking Batty played last week, so you never know. You never know who people are going to bring on. We'll put on Kalatza. Anyway, solid. We can get back to Liverani at halftime, maybe. Solid 2-0 lead for Lokomotiv Boston already. Best keeper in the league, not doing very well down the other end of the pitch there in the Wolves goal.
It looks like Elba's just having a fantastic game, doesn't it, really? They've been Lokomotiv having a typical Lokomotiv half, really, absolutely solid.
Very, very, very solid. Elba favorite striker in the game. Superb talent. Giovanni Elba was a very, very good player in general, I think. That's got Boston all over it. That's got Boston. Oh my goodness, wow. That's a rare sign of domination seen from Lokomotiv Boston there. Let's see how the goals came about. Effenberg flicked it on, so Effenberg's in there. He's getting an assist for that one probably. And this one is Amoroso. Jumped with Campbell, beat Saul Campbell in the air. That's pretty good. So that's Elba with his. Effenberg flicked the ball on, but didn't get an assist. He didn't even get a key pass. That's a bit harsh on big old Steph. So Ryan, you mentioned that you'd have Inzaghi maybe starting.
Well,
Was that instead of
even
Amoroso or?
no, even people like me can be wrong every now and again, and obviously I bow down to Greaves' knowledge, and that partnership up top is frightening. I mean, I absolutely love Amoroso, and I'd have probably pre-game if you asked me to pick one between Inzaghi and Elba, I'd probably picked Inzaghi, but Elba's been absolutely incredible. So yeah, you can't argue with it. Absolutely dominant by Elba. And the rest of the team just been solid, really. Nothing spectacular from the rest of the lads. Barthez having another great game as he always does, but it's just a good performance, and Elba's got the goal.
And he's feeling brave. He's taking Amoroso off. He's putting Inzaghi on, giving him a bit of game time. So that'll be interesting to see how he performs in the second half. Looking at Hull's Vikings, Ian. It's been a tough first half for them. I was going to mention Liverani there. I wouldn't. I, I don't think of him as a wing back, to be honest. I think when people are using him, they normally use him in a more central role. But and he's not doing particularly well. I mean, 5 completed passes out of 14. That's I'm not sure how he's getting a 6, to be honest, with that performance. Maybe he's done some runs. Let's have a look. Nope. What do you make of Hools in that first half performance? Not good.
It's pretty grim for Jens. I mean, none of these big players have turned up. It's been pretty abysmal, to be honest. I think he's just been blown away with Locomotive, to be honest with you. There's not too much different I would have done with the selections. I think it's just been a bad day at the office thus far, but he's going to need to vastly improve. I mean, the 5s and stuff, he's defensive midfielders, that's just not good enough, is it? He's forwards, 6s. It doesn't bode well.
No, it's a big pressure to come up against those 3 MCs on the other side. I know it's not always the most popular formation to put that many people centrally in midfield, because it's notoriously not that easy to get anyone apart from the really good AMCs to perform in there. But it's worked out really well for him. He wants Tigalko off and Pizarro on. We'll see if that'll be enough for him. But Beckham on his own against those 3, it's not gone that well. Well, we'll see. We'll see in the second half if Hools can get back into this, or if Boston can continue their dominance. 2 new strikers on, fresh legs up front. First 15 minutes passed without lots of incidents or anything interesting happening, really. 25 to go. It still looks as if it's a lot of Locomotive Boston, really. But there is David Beckham. No one's picking up his runs from midfield. Oh my goodness, Nikiforenko. Now they're really coming back into it. Are we going to have a? No, we're not going to have a late. We're not going to have a late winner in this game. Sticks with 2-2. A little bit fast there at the end. Missed out on a bit of excitement there, I think, just because it was flashing past like that. Complete turnaround for the Hools Vikings in the second half in terms of where the football was played, and to some extent how it was played. But a very, very good game there. Let's see what David Beckham. I specifically confirmed with Jens that we hadn't said David Beckham to run with the ball, but oh no, he didn't. It wasn't a run. He gathered up the loose ball and just hit a hopeful shot, as he'd done many times in his career, I'm sure. So good goal for Beckham there. And then it was Liverani on that from that far side coming in, curling the ball into the near post. Header for Nikiforenko running through unmarked. Ian, what it's not really a champion, because he had many shots on target in the second half. Hools, what went differently, do you think? So just
it looks like a couple of these players actually turned up. I think Nikiforenko, I mean, again, I love him in the game. Beckham, who I probably said was my least favourite of his whole fucking team, has came out and got his best rating, which is just it's about to happen, isn't it? But I think they maybe just stuck it. Going in the first half, I genuinely couldn't have seen them getting back in it unless like a couple of their big players turned up, and it looks like they've done that. Beckham playing pretty outstanding there. You'd be disappointed in the 6s for Van Nistelrooy. Pizarro not doing nothing, but no, that's a great second half performance for Hools. Like,
Yeah, and
Big
important
point.
and important not to lose too much ground in the race here in terms of the playoffs, obviously. And that was a really big away game for them. Probably out of, on paper the most difficult away game of the season against the
Yeah.
league leaders. You're always going to be a bit concerned there, but they've pulled it out of the bag in the second half and gotten a 2-2 draw. Ryan Elbersil getting the man of the match. Grieve says Takur was a big miss for them in the second half. Kalatza is on an 8, but he's not done
Yeah.
anything in the air, and he's only completed 9 out of his 15 passes. Would you agree with that assessment that it was that partially because of the Takur wasn't there in the second half?
Well, Decor he's top class, isn't he? And he's proven in the Super League time and time again. Decor, and yeah. To be honest, I think you looked at it's the lack of creation. I'd say in the second half, I think they were on 10-5 for shots at the end of the first half, and they're still at the end, still the same end of the second half. So it's not like his forward players have got going at all.
Mm.
Um, Kaiser's not been in the game much. Obviously, he's brought Inzaghi on. He's only got a 6 in the game left, and Amoroso was. Yeah, do you mean Matt? He can't really have a go at cards, or he's come on and been solid. But yeah,
Mm.
it just hasn't worked for them second half for whatever
No.
reason.
But then again, in the same vein as we could say it was a difficult game for Hools up against the league leaders, it's also a bit of a tricky one for Boston. They've come off a defeat. They're up against a really informed side, and they've gotten a 2-2. Perhaps not the result that they would have been hoping for after that first half performance. But when you look at how the stats actually turned out overall for the game, I don't think you can say that it was an unfair result, to be completely honest. And looking at the performance of the players, you're probably not going to be too unhappy, Greavesy, with the shift that they put in. Maybe a little bit in terms of the attacking midfielders there, Ricardinho, Effenberg, and Deisler all only getting sevens. But I mean, he would have easily taken it after that first half performance. He would have been quite happy. But yeah, 2-2 at the end, and we'll see how that affects the table when we get through some of the next games, because we've got Northern Burn against Leathersford now, but then we've obviously got Sloths against Fulchester, and they could really benefit from this with Hools only getting a draw. I mean, that's obviously good news for both Sloths and Fulchester, and who knows if the Devils could overtake Boston later on. But we'll pop over to Northern Burn against Leathersford first. So we've already done a little bit of this, haven't we? When I wasn't paying attention in the beginning. So I don't know, Ryan, do you remember the question?
Right, he's changed formation and he's dropped Morientes and he's brought Fernando Torres and Vincenzo Montella up front. It's a bit of a change around, isn't it, for Haji? He's gone for something different. I quite like the look of it, and being honest. Um, Looking at that team, I think I quite like the team, really. I think the strange one is Pat Tatsoglu in centre midfield. Um, I think he's more defensively. I sometimes play him at right back or right wing back. Very rarely will I put him in centre midfield. Simeone and Vogel really, really solid. Um, yeah, is Volodenkov injured? Is he not? Is that one of the reasons he's not involved? Didn't really look at that. Oh, just been dropped.
No, he's
That's a
just
strange one.
he just went nap. He had a 7 and a 6, and that's the end of his that's the end of his
Yeah,
involvement in in that. I think. I mean, I can double check in terms of the substitutions, but I think it's I think it's correct.
yeah,
But you're right. It's definitely worth checking. Is it a lack of option that in central midfield that's forced him to play Pat Tatsoglu there? He could have played Luis Enrique, Kutuzov maybe could have played in there. What do you think?
yeah.
Risa even? He's got Big
Yeah,
John Arne.
yeah. I'd have put probably Kutuzov in there. I think he can do a job in that position. I'd even push Johan Vogel up there and maybe bring Sorochinsky into the left side. He
Hmm.
just really, I mean, he's got options there. I mean, Ekiog's starting ahead of Uliano. Uliano doesn't even make the bench, which is a strange one for me. Do you mean, well, Hodgie's not been on the best of form. It's been very up and down.
Mm.
So I'm glad that he's doing something different. A bit of an issue well, not an issue, a bit of questionable decisions in terms of personnel. But yeah, I like the formation.
Hmm. Oh well, we'll see how it works out for him.
I'm just
He's
going to be, just so you know, I'm just going to be about 5 minutes. I've got to let the dog out.
yeah. Well, Ian and I will take the reins and see how we go here with Northern Burn. Ian, what do you make of Northern Burn and their formation and their change of fortunes as well? A little bit like Dudley Hill, they've been on a decent run as of late. Northern Burn, haven't they?
They have. It's been good to see because I mean, with the start that Ian made, I would have been tempted to jack it, to be honest with you. I mean, the team, he's done it season on season. The team, the squad, sorry, that he manages to assemble is frightening. I've said that as well. I mean, looking at that team 1-11 is outstanding. I love it. Barring Petkov in the centre mid, I don't know if that's because of an injury or whatever, but it's a frightening team. Gattuso, I'd be playing Gattuso as well all day long. I like Sean Davis. I sold him. But he's got a great team, and he definitely shouldn't have been anywhere near where he is in the league. It'd be interesting if Ian's on the comments to drop a comment. Has he done anything major, like player instructions wise? Has he tweaked anything that off note? Because it's I mean, it was looking really bad, wasn't it? And he's past few games, he's picked up good wins. I mean, he absolutely destroyed me, which maybe doesn't a huge indicator how well he's doing, but he's doing pretty well, and it's good to see. But again, if all the players click, that's potential to be a very, very good side.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the things that I thought would have been the key to the turnaround is Sambrota. And although he has played better, he's gotten eights. He's not done anything attacking wise, not like he did for Bolton Phoenix, obviously. Simplified instructions here, and that's about it. Udesi inclusion a catalyst for the change in form. Well, yeah, you're always going to pick up your. Is it really? Well, okay. Well, never mind. So I'm seeing the predictions coming in here thick and fast from the viewers. Let's have a quick go. Home wins are being predicted by Alf and by Rob. I appreciate. I did the teams the other way around. I don't know if that confused you or if you still think it's a Northern Burn home win. Ian, what do you think?
Just looking at the two sides there. On paper, again, you would say Northern Burn, but we know that's nothing's thing with on paper. But I just think these wee upturning fortunes, interesting to see it was just going back to basics, which I'm definitely an advocate. I think you can overcomplicate things, especially when you're getting beat. So I'm going to say a Northern Burn home win here, 2-1 again.
And Ryan, for you, I believe you're back from dog thingy duties.
Yeah, the missus at the dugout. I'm quite happy on that one. Yeah, I've gone for a Northern Burn win 3-1, but it could equally go the other way. I quite like the Laddersford lineup, so I feel a bit guilty kind of going for a home win here. So yeah, it's going to be a close game, but I think Northern Burn, just because of the form they're in, will edge it.
Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll kick this one off. Northern Burn up against Laddersford. Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's two teams who have not exactly been near the top of the leaderboard, so to speak, this season. So we'll see if any of them can put a good run together here. Laddersford with a new formation and Vincenzo Montella opening the scoring for Laddersford for the away side here.
If Laddersford are going to make a run for the playoffs and in the league, then he's going to be a part of the team, Montella. I mean, Mariantes has done well for him. I completely understand why he's been. Giving him a bit of game time. But yeah, Montella's the main man, and there's another former Phoenix lad, Nando Torres, getting the second, and Zambrata, 3 former Phoenix players with the goals there.
Yeah, I was going to say it's Phoenix Knights and Barrow. we've got three ex-Phoenix players involved in the goals there. Very good first half, very entertaining and fairly even as well. Good pressure there from the away side with the new formation that Hodges brought to the table there. Fairly even in terms of distribution. Let's see how the goals came about. We had Fernando Torres went on a bit of a run here. I'm not sure if he beat the offside trap. Running, and crossed it into Montella, who headed it into goal there. Toldo never saw it. Okay. And Toldo did when to hold on to the... Oh, okay, this is just one of those kind of a fine strike. The rebound found it. I don't know what's going on there. And Sambrota did something. Okay, that didn't really make a huge amount of sense. Laddersford formation, tactics. It's working out okay, Ryan, isn't it? I mean, you said you're a big... I'm not sure if you used the word big fan, but you said you like the formation definitely, and it seems that it's been working for them.
Yeah, I like it. I like that he's changed it up a bit, and you like that he's got a kind of solid core with Nestor and Ekiog, and he's got a bit of a change in strike force. I think it just seems, I don't know what you guys think, but Torres and Montella seems a lot more of a prospect for scoring goals than Morientes did on his own. I'm glad that he's gone with the two up top. He probably needed a change in that front.
Mm.
Yeah, I like it, and he's probably had the better of the first half, just about. Um, just a good performance.
Yeah, good solid performance from the side there. An assist for Simeone and one for Torres as well. Morientes hadn't done too badly, but as you say there, it's also about how big of a threat do you feel that you see when you're actually watching the games. How much of a chance do you think there is of people actually scoring? And obviously Montella with his track record, and Fernando Torres, who although still, I mean, very very young, again a little bit like Landon Donovan with all the stats in the right places, the acceleration, the finishing, off the ball pace and flair, he's very very promising. And obviously in 2 or 3 years time, he's probably going to be sort of in for top scorer in the league as well, probably if Lettersford are doing well. Ian, Northern Burn, it didn't not a bad performance from them in the first half, to be completely honest. Terry and Ree not really having the best of halves, but apart from that, it's been relatively solid from them. Just 2 goals from Lettersford. They've just been not outplayed, but Lettersford just been edging it.
I was a wee bit worried for him when that second goal went in, but I think that goal just before half time, it's vital. It's poised pretty nicely, this one. I'd probably bring on Gattuso at this stage. I don't know, no changes for Ian, but I'd probably be tempted to bring Gattuso just because I like Gattuso. There's not really much else you would change. Thierry Henry on a 6. I know he's not really got Canu. I don't think he's going to improve on Thierry Henry. Let's be honest.
I was going to say you
But
could bring Kanu on there.
So Davis is good. I mean, I would play Gattuso even in centre mid, but again, there's not been any really bad performances there. So I think he's probably just got to roll the dice here. But a good second half is on the cards, I think.
Yeah, well, I think so too. Both managers going unchanged, so we'll kick off the second half, and we'll see if Northern Burn can get the equaliser. Obviously, they reduced the deficit just before half time, and let's see if that continues in the second half, or if Lettersford can extend their lead. It was a good first half, plenty of chances for either side. That's always good to see. Patrick Soklu coming forward, and who got that? Was it Simeone? I didn't actually see. Didn't actually see who. Oh, and there's Udese. I can't even see who's scoring because the text bloody thing wasn't. It's not going to go away. Oh my! And there's the Montella with the fourth. Is a very very open game, and maybe the keepers aren't up to much. I don't know. There's just been so many chances.
Torres hit the bar there as well.
It's still a mystery who scored the third for Lettersford. I haven't. The text hasn't disappeared for long enough for me to see it. Oh, there's an own goal from someone.
It was Patsoglu.
It was Patsoglu with that fourth. My goodness, what a dramatic second half performance from both sides there, to be completely honest. Very, very open football. Not a great save percentage from the keepers.
No, it's better. What a game that was. Ian will be absolutely gutted not to come out on the wrong end of it, really, because he's been in good form. Hodgie needed the win, I think, to kind of keep his playoff hopes motoring on. I think as much as he'll be happy with the result, he'll also be happy that he's put those two strikers in, and they both scored, and Montella's got 2. He's gonna. I mean, it's going to come through goals, I think, if he gets into that top 6, and to get players like that scoring is big. Perhaps that's a clue. Yeah, I know I criticised him pre-game, but yeah, he's done a good job there, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's done a solid. I mean, in terms of passing, 22 out of 19 can't really say much against that. I mean, he could have obviously done a little bit better in terms of tackling, only winning 5 of his 15 attempted tackles, but at least he's putting himself about and he didn't pick up a yellow, so that was always something. Montella on a 10, someone you're a big fan of, obviously. You can kind of when you look at his performance, you can kind of tell why he dropped him, but now he's back in. He's got to stick with him, hasn't he?
I mean, for me, basically, you've got a player like that. You've got to play him. You've got to understand that every now and again, similar with Dragons and Batistuta and things like that. You've got a decent player. You've got to give him a chance. You really do. Because he will put a 6. He might put a 5 in every now and again, but he's going to score more goals than anyone else you've got. So, yeah, I mean, it might be a different season if he does keep in the team for Lettersford, because I mean, I'm looking at that 1 to 11, and bar Nesta, he's probably my second name. Oh, he's probably in line with Vogel, being second name on the team sheet.
Mm. Well, a good performance from him nonetheless. We'll have a look at Northern Burn. Ian Toldo letting the side down a little bit there, conceding 4 from 7 shots. Exactly the same as Hansjok put down the other end, who then got an 8. But never mind. A little bit chaotic. Anything to put your finger on in terms of what went wrong for Northern Burn here?
I think it's quite obvious what went wrong. Francesco Toldo having an absolute stinker there. I think to concede 4 goals at home is going to be the most frustrating for Ian, but performance-wise, it's a huge improvement on what's been before. Udeze had a solid game as well. Zambrotta getting his goal. Georgiatos a 9. He's one I like. I think if you put your if the keeper gets a 7 there, it's probably a draw or maybe even burned. They were doing well to come back into it, but I think Toldo's just basically thrown it for him there.
Yeah, a bit of a shame, really. Someone like Walter Samuel getting 11 tackles, trying to take 11 tackles, winning 7, 5 key tackles as well, only getting a 7 for some reason. Jagatas getting a 9. There's good performances in there, probably just a little bit unlucky with the keeper performance, and Van Bommel for some reason also being a little bit out of form for some reason. I don't really know what the story is with Van Bommel, but he had the same problem with Johan Vogel, if you remember rightly. He couldn't get him to work as well, could he? So I don't know if it's a DMC Northern Burn Ian Edwards combination that's just not not conducive to good performances. Who knows? But
I'd have had Gattuso in over Van Bommel. That's just a personal thing, but I just prefer Gattuso there. Maybe something for Ian to have a wee think about. I know Van Bommel's good, but it's it was a good game. Good game.
Yeah.
You probably have him in over Petkov and Sean Davis as well. That's where I wouldn't be dropping Van Bommel. I'd be definitely having. I mean, for me, players have bad form, but the only way they get out of the bad form is by playing. And I mean, Petkov's solid and Davis is solid, but not in the same league as the two. So
Yeah, I mean, Sean Davis has done so well, hasn't he?
Yeah,
778. This is very good. I mean, Petkov is someone I wasn't particularly aware of. Is he Olympiacos or something? AEK Athens, yeah. If you've got Gattuso, which I mean, he's also played like a sack of shit to be honest. But anyway, we'll leave Ian to sort out his issues with his defensive midfielders and see what he can come up with. I mean, on a positive for him, he's got 3 goals and they weren't scoring that many in the beginning of the season. They were just struggling overall. Obviously, Toldo having a bit of a mare there, but that is okay. That'll be okay. I don't think it's something to be too worried about. It happens sometimes with the keeper, doesn't it? Next up, we have Spartak Sloth, the White Powder. I almost said the White Power Derby. The White Powder. the White Powder Derby. I'll just try not to be funny. Anyway, because it's going to backfire one day. Sloths are in a bit of a pickle here. I don't know. I'm double checking that Collins thing.
Yeah, I double checked it, Martin. It's right. I don't understand it, but it's definitely right.
Oh, risky.
He's definitely playing him.
I'm just going to get it up on screen just so I'm not going absolutely crazy. But
Robson will take the risk.
He said to me, "Thanks for ruining my day," and then sent it through. Yeah, Collins, right attacking field. So he's aware and he knows, and he's gone with it anyway. He's taking the risk.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's worth it apparently, according to Potato Mourinho. So we'll see. I mean, he's not blessed with a bunch of obvious. It's if he doesn't play him, he plays Edmundo, maybe Jonas Lundin. He could play a few. He could play a few guys in there, but he's obviously going to go with Collins. What's the nature of the injury? A few days with a damaged shoulder. Nah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. He's obviously got Scally in there. Fiore. It's a good season for Sloths. What do you put it down to, Ryan? What do you think? The manager, the kind of controversial manager, a little bit thinking out of the box, just throwing people in there. It's a tactic that no one else is really using.
I think it's a solid tactic, and I think he's got a nice selection of good players alongside some champ legends. I mean, low key, I think Gamara and Hornshaw, 2 of the best defenders. I think obviously they can play because they're not big names, and obviously Alan Shaw played for Liverpool, therefore they kind of go under the radar. But I think on Champ, you're hard pressed to find better defenders outside of the likes of Nestor and Cannavaro. Zé Roberto has been the best player in the league this season by a country mile, in my opinion. Absolutely fantastic. No one else comes close, in my opinion.
Complete monster.
Yeah, and he basically, and he's got the legends in there. And Neil Scally, he might be a yellow card every 5 minutes, but he does that. He does get good ratings. David Collins gets good ratings. He does have some weak players in there. Del Piero's useless in my opinion on the game. Recoba, not much better. He's been swapping and swapping his strikers each week, but the core of his team has stayed the same. He's had them wing backs the same. He's had his defenders the same, and it's a good team in my opinion. And yeah, not only are they doing well, they're great to watch. They're one of the teams that you look forward to watching each week, and I think this should be an absolute cracker.
Yeah, well, it should be a good one. They're up against Fulchester. Let's have a look at them. Ian, they are a similar lineup to, or similar formation to the to Bostock, but a defensive one away from home without the arrows on two of the MCs there, but a very very solid squad as well. And he's had some luck playing. I mean, I'm not sure if he had any. I mean, his average rating were okay, Michael Owen. I think it was Saviola that got the goals the other day, wasn't it? He got a 10 there on Wednesday. Had a really strong performance. What do you make of that the two short strikers up front there, Owen and Saviola? What do you make of that partnership? Is that going to solve his? I mean, didn't have goal scoring problems as such, but is that going to be something that's going to work for him for the rest of the season? Do you think?
It wouldn't be two that I would pick. I would play Saviola and AMC. That's I actually sold Saviola to Fulchester at the start of the season. I know there was a wee bit of criticism there. Now, in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have. It was probably a fucking disastrous decision. But he's certainly capable of scoring up front. Whether he's a striker, I don't know. But he's certainly got a goal on him. He'd done that last season with Valen as well. Michael Owen is just one. Looking at his stats, I don't know why he's so shit. I mean, when you look at him, he should be fucking. He's on a par with like Van Nistelrooy stat wise. I mean, he's I don't know why, but for me, he's not somebody I like at all. Veron's always good for a goal in there. I don't know why Valharen's been so good as well. His stats definitely wouldn't suggest that he's any good. Finnan's class, and Giggsy at left wing back is doing bits. I think he's kind of dipped. He's went in a bit of a lull. I know it was him and Devils just started off like a train, didn't it? But he's had a wee bit of a stuttering couple of matches. So I think
2 defeats, and then he's won his last 2. He's beat Bostock 1-0, and then he won 3-0 last week. Who did he beat 3-0 against? Dragons. So you probably discount that one a little bit, can't you?
Yeah,
No,
but I see your point there. Ian. It has been up and down. Yeah, he lost to Churchtown, beat Astor, lost 1-2. So it's been a bit sort of stop start, and Sloths away is not an easy place to go. What do you think in terms of predictions? Do you think Ian? Do you think he can get a result here away to Sloths?
I think that this is probably one of the along with Locomotive, this is probably one of the hardest places to go. I think this is going to be a humdinger. I can see it. I think this could be. I'm going to sit on the fence and say 2-2, but I think it's going to be a good game.
Ryan, what do you think in terms of results? I can see Rob's already predicted an away win, so we'll see.
I think it'll be a close game. I think Sloths might just edge it 2-1.
And David Collins on the score sheet?
I think David Collins injured before half time.
Let's have a look. Let's kick this one off and see what happens. Michael Owen failed to score early on. Both teams coming forward. Scally being a little bit brave. I think he could have had a yellow there. I don't know if he got one or if someone else got it.
Del Piero's been involved a lot for a player, which he doesn't usually do too much in this league.
It's been backwards and forwards though, hasn't it? Chances for both sides. 4 minutes of added time. Say Roberto, what can he do? It's Martin Palermo of all people that comes up with the goods for Spartak Sloss and puts them into the lead here. Very tight, very tight game in terms of the distribution of the chances. Yeah, most of the football being played in the middle of the park. Sloss having slightly more of the possession. Let's see how the goal came about. Say Roberto from the well, there's a surprise for you. That's his 14th assist of the season, which is quite spectacular. It's all right for Sloth, but pretty solid first half. He's got to be happy with that, isn't he, Ryan? What do you think?
Yeah, really solid, isn't it? And I mean, the main man again, Di Roberto doing the business. David Collins still on 85 fitness, so Rob will be happy there. I mean, no one's pulling up any trees, are they? It was a very tight game. Yeah, Neil Scally getting an 8. He's always one for a good rating, isn't he? Without sometimes doing too much, but yeah. I mean, there's not really too much to say.
No, there's not too much to say. It's Gamara and Neil Scally that's been doing the business defensively, and then Sir Roberto's just been flying down the wing, putting in a cross. How many runs has he made? Let's have a look. He's only done 3, but did his best, did the cross. Palermo obviously very sort of lethally kind of poachery, strikery type person, and gets the goal for them there. So
Well, yeah, I'm aware Ian's going to say something about Fulchester now, but before he does, I would say about the formation that Fulchester have put out. It's a real kind of solid defensive formation, and it's wondering, is he kind of equipped from a goal down to kind of get back into the game? Is it the best formation to be chasing a game with?
Yeah, I mean that's the question, Ian. What do you think about Fulchester and their chances in the second half? It was very even in the first half. Do you think they can come back into it with a little bit more sort of like I don't know, a bit of luck, or I mean, look at the fitness of the players. It looks as if they haven't done anything. Pretty much everyone's still sort of in the mid 90s.
If, as Ryan was alluding to there, if it's a wee bit more of a defensive formation, he's going to need to do a hell of a lot more with strikers. I mean, Saviola 6, Owen 6, Veron 6. I mean, that's Scholes 6. That's always creative players doing pretty much nothing. Valharan on a 6 as well, which is a bit of a shock because he's been pretty good. If Fulchester get an early goal here, I can see them getting something, but it's Brian's maybe onto something there. Maybe as a wee bit too defensive involving an AMC. I know he's got 2 up top, but it's going to have to be a complete turnaround. It's possible though, but it's finely poised anyway.
Yeah, he's putting Rossini on for Michael Owen. Do you think that's? I mean, Rossini's obviously he scored goals. Would you have started Rossini over Owen anyway?
Probably, mate. Looking at their stats, you wouldn't, but I think Rossini's got more chance of grabbing a goal than Owen. I didn't get Owen in the game. He's sort of in the Zidane ilk. He's just fucking torture, isn't he? But no, I think that's a good move there.
Yeah, well, I accidentally kick off the second half. Fortunately, nothing happens in the first 10 minutes there. I didn't see Rob saying anything. He said keep the same. Okay, well, in that case, the second half is already on the way. So eyes on the eyes on the action, guys. We're we're already well on the way here. Giggs with a cross there, Finnan with a cross again. Rivaldo trying to play the ball forward. They are trying Fulchester, but it's Martin Palermo who puts Sloth 2-0 ahead. Just one chance, bit of a sucker punch there after so many chances for Fulchester. And here come David Collins with his broken shoulder, putting the stick in the knife in. Oh, but Veron's getting one back. Plenty of action in the last couple of games we've had here as well. Rossini there with a good chance. Giggs trying his best as well coming down that flank. Saviola trying.
Michael Owen could have won that game for Fulchester.
Yeah. Well, Garin struggles against physical strikers. Well, he definitely did struggle against a physical striker there. Palermo out muscling him there a little bit. A very efficient sort of like in terms of the strikers. Not that many shots on target, and a 3-1 victory there for the Sloss. Very even, a little bit more in terms of possession, but very even in terms of where the football was played. We'll just have a quick look and see how the goals came about in the second half. Palermo left with a simple finish after picking up a Buffon dropped it there. Recoba with an assist for David Collins. Varong with a direct free kick. We see a direct free kick almost every week. Good second half that. Ryan Sloths, solid. Very solid performance from them, and Martin Palermo very efficient in front of goal there. 2 shots, both on target, both resulting in a goal for them.
Yeah, really solid. 8s and 7s across the board. Stefan Fiore, 20 out of 24 passes, really good. Neil Scally's not. He's down to 69 condition. He's got an 8 formation, but he may have picked up a slight knock. David I know, yeah, the tackles is incredible, isn't it? He won 10 out of 11 and 3 of them key as well. So good. Yeah, and then the other one to kind of pick is David Collins. He looks like he's come through relatively unscathed. And he's obviously got his goal. I mean, that's a big game for Rob as well. He might be at home, but Ulchester are one of his, his top 6, maybe top 2, kind of chasing rivals, and he's got one over on them. So, there'll be, that's.
Yeah, I mean he's one.
Celebrate with a few lamps of Barrymore's pool.
Yeah, I mean we'll obviously see Devils playing as well, but we've already seen Hools dropping points. So for Sloths now winning this one, I mean that puts them in, and Lokomotiv dropping as well. So Sloths are much nearer to the top 2 than they are to being in danger of dropping out of the playoffs. So a good game for them, and Fulchester. I mean they difficult to win away at Sloths, obviously, but we'll see how they get on further down the line. Steve Finnan, man of the match, but it was really Yepes, Scholes. I mean, there's lots of poor performances in there. Ian, what do you make of that from someone like Paul Scholes? A 5 for him. Yepes picking up a 5 as well. I think Mac has said that Jos Falgaran did poorly against physical strikers, but Yepes has not done much better, has he?
No, there's been a couple of bad days at the office for a few guys there. I think when you're picking up 5s, you're not really going to be getting in and out of the game. I mean, that's your centre half, and when your midfielder's a 5, it's been pretty poor. Before a 6 isn't great, but I think it's the guys in front of him that's let him down more. Rossini coming and got a 7. I don't know if Mackin maybe needs to look at tweaking his formation again. I know he's obviously had in mind that Sloss are flying in there at home, so you can't criticise him too much. But he seemed to be flying at the start of the season, and he's had, as you were saying, a wee bit of stuttering start. So he's definitely capable of pulling it back. So we'll have to wait and see.
And not famous for away form either, Fulchester. So maybe not 100% surprised that they end up with this result. But anyway, playoff race is wide open. Yes, it definitely is, with both Fulchester in 4th and Hools dropping points. Who was in 6th before we started today? Actually,
Bostock
was Bostock. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. So there's there's definitely all to play for. Moving, I was going to say swiftly on, we've got Devils against the Dragons, second last. Oh, sorry. I think that's what's coming up, isn't it? Yep, it's Devils against the Dragons. Oh yeah, because we haven't got that. We haven't got that many other games left. Let's have a look. Oh, sorry. I meant to go into the 5 side. Ryan, you can continue with the home sides. What's the reason? I mean, Fifey says that his team is completely out of form and they're likely to be relegated after the last 3 games. What do you make of the reason? Kind of, I mean, there was obviously the 2 red cards in that 3-3 game against Dudley, and they had that Northern Burn result. Is there anything to be worried about for Fifey, or is it just a minor blip? I mean, he's been good so far, good value for the season, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's definitely just a minor blip. He's got an absolutely world-beating squad there. Especially world-beating first 11. That front 3, absolutely fantastic. And Penza is probably the best striker on the game when he's in this form, and his form has been fantastic. Kuhl and Ronaldinho, not too many better in those positions. Yeah, and Emerson, Ferguson, Kieran Dyer. I mean, it's just a real solid 11. He's basically not messed around with his tactics too much, really, has he? For the last 9 or 10 weeks, he just moved the Ferguson position at the moment. He's been moving him, not him specifically, but he's been moving up to attacking midfield central, and then dropping him back down again. But he's been keeping it relatively tight. Diaz has come in, and I don't know how good he is. Graverson's been in and out of the team. Interesting that he's chose Jons Novotny to start over Christian Kivu. I think he might be missing a defender. I'm not too sure who it is off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, Fifey's nailed on for top 6. Unless he starts doing something stupid, he's absolutely nailed on for top 6. So, he's just dropped Wes Brown, hasn't he, after he got a 5 last time?
Yeah, drop West Brown, and he's still got Van Bronckhorst out. I think that's why Diaz is playing. I mean, looking at it, he doesn't look like a bad player, Diaz, and he's got a good average rating there, 767 average. So he's come in and done a decent job. Gravison, I mean, I know I should be a big fan, and he has played 7.5. He has played pretty well, but uh, I mean, it's not the deepest of squads in terms of if he gets injuries. Some of the players that he can bring in, are a little bit maybe not the best. I mean, David Dunn, for example. But with the lineup he's got here, as you mentioned there, he's definitely a top six. Top six. We'll have a look at Dragons. We've got some interesting comments here. If we've got Saeed CM with a forward arrow again, I'll be fuming, which is a fair point. let's let's have a look and see how Dragons line up. I don't think you do. And let's have a look. This is what it looks like.
You just dropped him. Oh, he's dropped him.
No, he's down. I think there's a central defender. I think he's down in central defense. Yeah. So Bauman, Sauri, West, and Said at the back. Say Elias in the CM role. Back up front with Batistuta. Ian, what do you make of this?
I think that would probably be the only thing that I would question. Maybe back being up front, he can play there. He's a beast on the game. There's not too much wrong with that. I love a back four. That's my go-to on home saves formation. Back four, I like that. Everybody else is in the right position. West and side are fucking quality. Zaure, I gave him Zaure and back in the transfer window. Great player. Bouma left back. Kaka, perhaps, maybe no really for me. Karen Boyer, class. Zé Elias is brilliant as well. I mean, again, on paper, there's nothing wrong with that team at all. Can was appalling for them at the start of the season. I mean, I think he lost them a few points. He was getting fives and just generally been shit. But I mean, look at that. At the start of the season, he was pretty poor for them, but they've no. I mean, you've got to play him. Look at him. You can't really drop
You
him.
look at all the 20s. I mean, I think and Batistuta and
you've got
Boyer,
to
they've
play
got a few. I was thinking who's getting the goals for them, but they've have to. I mean, they're not scoring many Dragons, but 23 and 17 is not the worst. So there's obviously a couple of guys with the shooting boots on there. Batistuta being one of them. Season one, I mean, he should be okay, shouldn't he? Really?
He scored more goals than me.
I'm just going to point out, I think I saw a comment from Duggan saying that's probably the strongest they looked on paper, and I have to agree with him, really.
Definitely.
Last few weeks, they've been doing some really interesting, I mean, still strange things with their tactics, and that which I've not agreed with whatsoever. It looks like he's gone back to something basic. He's also gone back to putting his best 11 out, regardless of form. Like I say, if you're going purely on form, then Oliver can't be nowhere near this, would he? But and I think Archie backed at a terrible season so far. But I do think looking at the kind of players he's got, he's probably should be starting Archie back. So I get why he's in there tonight. And I like it. He's given himself a chance, which is in converse to what. Remember when Dudley Hill were on bad form and they went away to Devils and kind of I think I might be getting mixed up. Went away to Gazelles, I think, and kind of threw the game and got beat 7-1. It doesn't look like they've done that tonight, Dragons. I think they've given themselves a chance here.
Yeah. Right. So your predictions then. So I'm guessing it's going to be at least a draw, if not an away win, then. Or what do you reckon? Now that you've talked them up.
I'm going to say the Devils are going to just slightly edge us, but the Dragons at that, I totally agree with what Ryan was saying. That is about the strongest formation and personnel that they've fielded for a while. I think they were going a bit mad. I don't know if it was because of the rotation with the management, but I like that. And they've definitely given themselves a chance. I'll agree, but I think Devils will edge it, and Penza will definitely score.
And Ryan, what do you think? And Penza, is he going to be the deciding factor in this one?
Yeah, I think he might be. I thought my audio went just briefly then. I think it's going to be a close game. Dragons give themselves a chance, but because of the beast that the Devils are, I think they might just still edge it until we go 2-1 Devils.
Breezy and wet, keeper's nightmare. Could be goals in this one. Let's have a look and see how it goes. Good early chance for the Devils, but Khan actually made the save, so let's hope for him and for the Devils that that's a sign of things to come in this one, because he's probably going to be quite busy Impensa, and there's Ferguson. Impensa was up there, and there comes Ferguson with the open after just 7 minutes. There's Kuhl after 20 minutes with a goal to extend the lead 2-0 now for the Devils. Dragons have had a couple of chances,
They're
but
good, aren't they? I mean, I don't care what Fifey says. His team are favourite for the league. They're so good going forward.
yeah, I mean, they definitely had the best of that first half. It was a bit of a quick one over before you could kind of blink, really. Very solid performance from the Devils. 6 shots, 5 on target, nothing really from Dragons. Fifey with 60% of the possession, really dominating that. A bit of a short bar here, so let's see. Impensa hit it low, can't beat the ball away. Ferguson, low shot, skidded on the wet surface, and he scored for the Devils, beating the keeper there. And Kuhl powered a header at goal, another headed goal for Harry Kuhl, probably one of the don't think he got many of them in real life, but anyway, it was a good cross from Ronaldinho there, obviously getting the assist on that. As you mentioned there, Ryan, the Devils got to be title favourites, really.
In my eyes, yeah, definitely. They're going forward. They're so strong. You can't see them not scoring any game. Even when Impenza isn't scoring, he's got Ronaldinho, Kuhl, Ferguson. He's got a litany of players behind him who can put the ball in the back of the net, and that's without even looking at his substitutes. So yeah, I think it's unless he's had a history of absolutely terrible defences, hasn't he, Fifey? So as long as he can kind of keep it relatively solid at the back, he's definitely going to score enough goals.
Yeah, well, and a bit unusual there, Paulo Montero not having to make a single tackle up against 2 strikers. So, Ian, his best starting 11 and everyone in their best position, and they get 6s, all of them.
I know, it's pretty disheartening that, and that's I was just about to say. I think there's nothing wrong with that formation. The temptation is going to be there to mix it up because they're getting a doing here. Well, not doing, but I think they're going to lose the game. I think that's quite evident. But they're up against well, that is a title.
The champions elect.
It really is. I mean, well, they're certainly favourite. I put them as favourites. I mean, I wouldn't get too disheartened. But again, if they're going to keep playing their best 11 in the right positions, I think they're going to do better than mixing up every fucking week. So I think they're maybe a wee bit unfortunate. I don't know. That bench, there's not really anybody I would bring on. Maybe Nikolai for back, because Back's had an appalling season. Or
it's going to be Hargreaves for Kaka instead. So
I don't know what difference that'll make, but I think they're just up against the better team here. I think that's basically what it's doing to.
Yeah, I mean, it's not often that we say that in the Super League that one team is just that much better than the other one, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. But it looks as if it's a little bit that case. Fifey hasn't made any comments about making substitutions, so. What?
So it's like Duggan's comment there. Hopkins in that hand grenade, chucks the team in, shuts the door, and lets the chaos run.
Oh gosh. Right. Okay. I don't see anything from Fifey in terms of substitution, so I guess we're just gonna run with it, despite Paulo Montero being on a 6. But let's have a look. Pope on the bench for Ronnie Johnson. Yeah. Things are looking up for the Devils after a couple of very, very difficult games where he thought the whole thing was lost, but apparently now all is well in the Devils camp again. 3-0 up here at with half an hour to go. And Pensa surprisingly hasn't scored yet. I mean, I thought he was on track for 30 at some point in the season, but doesn't look as if I said no change. Yeah, but he doesn't really have anything in here, does he?
I'd probably move back, drop Archie back into centre mid and bring on Nikolai.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably what makes the most sense. I mean, with 15 minutes to go, I don't think. Oh, that's not gone right, has it? Cancel the changes. There we go. Just do whatever. Yeah. Well, let's have a look and see if that makes any kind of difference. Oh well, Ronaldinho. Yeah, once they hit their stride, Devils with this lineup and the formation that he's got that's really working for them, there's not really much anyone can do, especially not an out of form Dragons side, bottom of the table. I mean, they got a couple of shots in the second half. I said no change, did he? Oh yeah, there he did. Sorry, Fifey, I did miss that just in between there. Thanks very much. I I mean, solid.
Yeah.
Solid is solid and perhaps dominant. Really, the words that kind of spring to mind here. Let's see how the goals came about in the second half. Ronaldinho went on a ran it back, clean set of heels to say Elias, past Boyer, curled the ball, Ronaldinho goal. Typical Ronaldinho goal, reminiscent of the one he scored against Real Madrid back in the day, for those who remember that or who have seen the highlights. And again, Ronaldinho moving forward there and sorting things out. Champions elect, Ryan, the Devils.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing much to add to that. They were absolutely dominant. Paulo Montero didn't even turn up tonight and didn't even go anything away. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's just that front three, isn't it? I mean, and Emilian Penza had a quiet week this week, but the two lads behind him have been fantastic. He's going to have to take a serious change in form for him to be worried, because them guys are absolutely. I don't think it's anything to do with the manager. I'm going to say that out loud, but the team is fantastic.
You still got to put them out there. You can see in the league there are managers who also have great teams at their disposal who are doing less well. But I agree, it's a very 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 strong starting 11. And
Do you think? A question for you, Matt. Do you think there's a front three in the league on the level that Bentancur, Ronaldinho?
I think I think Harry Kewell's dog shit. So from
on
he's
the
not.
game.
Yeah, not for
On
me,
the
man.
game.
Not for me. No, not for me. Not for me. I don't know what. I've never seen him. I mean, and even here, he's kind of like if you were. I mean, I appreciate it's a Super League, but still in the Super League, 3 goals and 4 assists in 17 games. If you're talking like a title-winning side, surely you can find even David Collins. I mean, David Collins is completely outperforming Harry Kewell in the Super League. I'll just leave that hanging. But for me, no, Harry Kewell is a no. Home save or not, he's a no. But I mean, in Pence and Ronaldinho, very, very good. I agree. But overall, very, very strong. I think it's only really Novotny, maybe Gravison, Diaz, maybe not the strongest, but apart from that, he's got probably like one of the, if not the number one, then the number two choice in pretty much the rest of the spots, really, hasn't he? I mean, even Emerson, he's kind of sort of quietly going about his business, but I mean, he has got him and Barry Ferguson. Are they not the two best MCs in the game? To you,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I
straight
don't know
up.
how that worked out. He obviously won the MC draw, then he won the Legends draw. So he must have got the. That's how it worked. But he really the pawns have fallen into the right place for him, haven't they?
Yeah. With regards to Dragons, consistency went out the window in the second half. There was a couple of players that dropped down to fives. What I don't know. I mean, I feel a little bit guilty dwelling on the teams that are doing particularly shit. So I don't really want to hang around, guys. You can see the ratings here. It didn't go well. You're up against a very very strong side. There's not really much to add to it. I mean, they played a good formation. The players are in the right positions. I think the morale is just shot in the camp, and that's causing a bit of an issue, as it sometimes can. I mean, we've seen Northern burn, not necessarily with bad players or bad performance. It's just when you get on a bad run. Ardsley had it with whoever he was. What was the name of it? Ardsley. Was it Ardsley that had it?
Yeah.
When they went like 7 or 10, or they beat Ian's record, or the other way around of going games without a win, etc. It can be a form thing, so not really too much to say about that. I appreciate I've been talking about it for about a minute now, but we'll we'll leave it at that and move on to the last game of the evening. We've got Aston Athletic, and we'll have a look at them first, because then we can go to Ryan first, as we have done throughout the evening. This is Astor Athletic and how they line up. Original Narrow is the name of the formation. Ryan, looks familiar to you?
This is back to basics. This is after the last couple of seasons in the oldest race in the league. It obviously worked for him then. He was basically a top six kind of stalwart, as he has been in the league. He's having a poor season this season by his own standards. Maybe doesn't have the squad he had in previous things. Maybe he's made some questionable decisions in terms of transfers and what have you. But this is him going back to his roots here, his narrow roots, and can kind of put in his. I don't know. I'm still looking at that now and just trying to dissect the players. Maybe not his strongest 11. I think Rui Costa injured and Alan Shearer's not made involved. But he's got a solid team there. Be interesting to see if he sticks with us now. I think he's made a brave comment in saying this will be his tactic for the rest of the season. But yeah, this is more of what we expect from Aston.
Yeah, well, he says back to the title formation, a few reserves in tonight. I mean, he's playing Silvino and Duff in slightly unusual, not unusual, but you know what I mean in terms of their positions. You wouldn't necessarily place them centrally, but we've seen it work so many times, both with Val and we even saw it with Zanetti this evening. So I guess we shouldn't be too worried about that. With in terms of the quality of the side, Ryan, do you think that's maybe one of the issues?
Yeah, but I think it's a lot of it's self-inflicted. So, do you mean I don't think it's his strongest 11, but I do think he has a strong 11 in there. But I don't think his transfer dealings have helped his position. I mean, he's let Liverani go for pretty much nothing. He's let Henri go for Shearer, and then he's not got Shearer involved. He's out of the box squad when he wasn't maybe the strongest, but yeah, Alf's. You mean even the best managers can have a bad season, and he's not having the best season this time round. I'm sure he'll be back at some point, but I don't think he'll be back with this 11 he's got out tonight. He's going to have to do some shrewd dealing in the in any future transfer windows, or may not have.
Oh, well, we'll see. We'll see what Aston can do tonight. They are up against a much improved Haggis Hunters side, who after not winning for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. After not winning for for a few games in a row, back to winning ways. 3-1, impressive 3-1 victory over Churchtown there. Landon Donovan. Let's have a look at the formation. So not really a 4-1-3-2, but a 4-1-2-1 to get Larson a little bit more forward. Any fresh faces? Any big changes since last week, Ian?
Hoffland's came back in for Simic, and Vieira, I believe, is back in for Petrov. That was just suspensions that I drafted them back in. I was tempted to leave the defence because obviously I hadn't won in 7, but again, and also Vieira, I was tempted to leave him out, but let's face it, you can't leave Patrick Vieira out for Stellan Petrov, can you? And Landon getting the double. He's got to keep his place as well. I mean, my weak point is clearly up front. Looking at the rest of the team, it looks fucking great to me, but results would suggest fucking otherwise. Went to the flat back 4, so we're hoping to back-to-back wins for the first time since I can remember.
Well, it's definitely a possibility with Aston not really in the best of form. I would have all Haggis 11 players, says Alf. I mean, you do have a very strong midfield, I think. I mean, Larsson's maybe not been the player that he was at Churchtown when he played there in the last couple of seasons. But Nedved, Mendieta, Vieira, you can't be unhappy with that trio there. Your defenders definitely not. Left yourself a little bit short in the attacking department, or have they just underperformed the players that you have at your disposal? Or are you hoping Brosek's going to be a world beater in a couple of weeks' time or half a season's time?
Oh, well, but I think the way that they've had today's transfer negotiations, I mean, you're looking at that like the best. That's probably the best midfield trio or even quartet with Brendan Larsson in the league. I would suggest. But as obviously up front, that's the weak point. But you've got to come and go and try and juggle things. I've maybe dropped a ball there and letting Saviola go in. I have been looking at bringing a striker in, but I'm going to have to lose one of my other top players. You know what I mean? So it's a juggling act, and I decided to go with a stronger sort of midfield and defensive base, and I could have been doing with goals for more goals for Larsson potentially. Saha's decent. I mean, he done well for Valen in the last version, but it's been a disappointing season on the whole. When you look at that squad, they should be fucking in the playoff positions already. I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point made about the strikers there because it can be difficult to get one, and even if you do get one, there's no guarantee that they're going to get you like that many goals. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we don't have. I mean, we'll have a look at that the top scorer chart, at the end of the season, but there aren't or at the end of the evening, but there aren't that many like proper goal machines really. I mean, David Collinson's up there. He scored now. He's probably like the second highest scoring player in the league then. So it's also a question of what is actually out there, and you need to make sure that if you're going to give up someone like Mendieta, you're obviously going to have to get a top
Mm-hmm.
guaranteed goal scoring striker in return. Otherwise, you're no better off, really, are you? So
Mm-hmm.
Alf says anyway. Alf says you're going to win 4-0, so it's fine. Potato Mourinho is going to 3-1 for a home win. Ryan, do you share the optimism of Mr. Mourinho and Mr. Bridge?
Maybe not the 4-0, but I think Haggis will do it tonight. I think, Alf has swamped that midfield area, but I completely agree with Ian there. Nedved, Mendieta, Vieira, fantastic. And then in the attacking option, you've got Larson. So I think Haggis has probably got the stronger 11 here and a solid formation with that. So the favourites in my eyes, probably go 2-1.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna obviously have to support Landon Donovan after I've put my head on the block to get him included in the in the starting 11. Yeah, so there's a bit of support coming in for the Haggis in the comments there. Ian Edwardson and Stephen Wright saying 2-0 home wins as well. Let's kick it off and see what happens. It's good early start from Haggis Hunters there, piling on the pressure. 3-4 chances already in the first 5 or 6 minutes, but no goals as of yet. But there he is, Landon Donovan. And there's
Oh,
Luis Saha. I
fucking
mean,
hell, man.
your strikers are
Jesus.
definitely turning up. I mean, I know.
Another four. Sorry, man. Another 4 goals and I feel comfortable.
Well,
For
there's
fuck's
Oh, Del Vecchio thought he'd pulled one back, but it's
sake.
been disallowed for offside. Oh, a bit of a yeah, there was a bit of hope for Astra Athletic just there,
Mm.
just before the break, but that was quickly ruled out. Very very dominant performance from the Haggis Hunters so far this evening. All of the football being played, 62% of possession as well, and all the football being played down the other end of the park. Let's see. Oh, Yab Stam took a free kick for some reason. That I swear I have the instructions. I change them every single time. So I'm not sure why he did that, but anyway, it worked out all right for you. And Donovan set up Saha in the area. I mean, Landon Donovan with an assist and a goal at halftime. What do you think, Ian? Solid performance from you guys so far.
Delighted with that, mate. I have to say. Hi, just Landon Donovan looks to be my main fucking man. I think maybe no need to bring in a striker. Just looking at that, I'm tempted to bring on Simic for Hofflin, but I think I'm going to leave it. But no, I'm delighted with that, mate. It's a dangerous lead, though. I think that goal getting disallowed for Astor was huge for us, because I would be definitely, my bum was squeaking a wee bit there. But no, delighted with that so far, mate.
I'd like to point out that neither of your central defenders has had to make a single tackle in the
Aye,
game
aye.
so far. So it's been quiet. To think we nearly took Hersey instead of Donovan. I mean, you can't if you rule out Landon Donovan, that's fine. I mean, I know people don't get it, but if you think that Maxim Tsigalko, is that his name, is the best striker in the game, then you have to agree that Landon Donovan is the second best striker in the game based on their stats because he's the only one that comes close. But anyway, that's a different topic. There's no evidence to back this up. No one has ever gotten him to score that many goals. So there might be other things in it, but who knows? Stam's free kick was from an offside position. There is a chance of that. Let's have a look at Astra. A little bit like Dragons, to be fair, Ryan. Well, to be harsh and fair. Sixes across the board.
Yeah, it's not really much to talk about. It's poor performance, but not an unexpected one. The second best team, and they've been second best. Tristan Denilson have had quite a bit of the ball, which I'd be quite happy. Mehmet Scholl, captain, not touched the ball. Pretty much Silvino, incorrect position, not playing well. Mike Duff getting a 6, which is never easy to see. Yeah, it's not good enough, really. It's not a Super League team. I look at that and I don't see a Super League team in it. Shevchenko and Peruzzi, maybe Hippier, Duff, but then the rest of them, I think, are not good enough, in my opinion. And big changes are needed.
Zamorano for Tristan, is that one of the changes that's needed, do you think?
I don't think it's going to change much tonight.
Well,
As I say, I think Alf's got a squad there. I think he's got enough players to put out a decent 11. I just don't think he's doing it. I'd be interested to know what you think, Martin, or what Ian thinks. Obviously, Ian don't want to say anything only at half time, but I mean, is Mehmet Shaw as your captain in centre of park? That's a player that wasn't in the Super League last time around. Alessio Tacchinardi starting wasn't in the Super League last time. Del Vecchio 6 wasn't in the Super League last time.
Silvinho wasn't. Is he the AC? He's the Arsenal one. That's even
Yeah,
worse. Or
again,
Serginho is the other one that I was thinking about, the AC Milan one. I mean, I don't know. I think he has better. I think he has better players than the one he's playing in those DMC roles. But I'll leave it to Alf. Obviously, he's testing out his 38. He's seen how many players he's got, and who can do a job for next season, and probably planning his transfer dealings based on that, because I think the season is kind of written off. But let's not dwell on it too long. We are already at 5 minutes before 11, so let's fire this second half up and see if Asta can get back into it. Oh, there's Larson picking up an injury. We can do something here. We can put Salas on.
Can I move somebody?
You can swap them if you want.
Saha for Salas.
Yeah, I think that's going to be okay, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll see if that gets you more goals. Salas not really been not been setting
shit, mate. He's been shit.
He's not been setting the league alight so far this season. Salas and Zamorano, that's a couple of interesting guys getting game time tonight.
A lot of orange last few minutes.
Yeah, mate. No liking this. No liking it.
Only got 10 minutes left though. I mean, it's now or
see it.
Donovan and Salas combining there, but not getting a goal out of it. Danielson, 5 minutes left. 5 minutes left for Aston. They could still get into it. But the boy seals it. The boy's done it. Yeah. Landon Donovan seals it for the Haggis Hunters, their second 3-1 win in a row. I mean, looking at that, it was never really in doubt if you look at it from this perspective. But obviously, the way that the game panned out, it looked a little bit more dangerous for the lead there. Asta could have come back into it. 57% possessions to the 43. Who scored? Was it Danielson for Asta? Yeah, Del Vecchio to Danielson. Del Vecchio and Danielson seem to have worked out okay between them. They played behind the strikers, didn't they? That seems to have worked out quite well. Salas headed the ball down for Donovan, who then scored. So yeah, Donovan with the 2 there. Ryan, let's have a look at Aston Athletic first. They came back into it in the second half. Let's see, that's Del Vecchio and Danielson. Any kind of takeaway from this has got to be that Danielson and Del Vecchio seems to form an okay partnership in that role. But apart from that, it wasn't vintage, was it really?
Not vintage, and he needs Shevchenko to be firing if he's going to kind of make a charge at the league. As you kind of said, I think he's testing his 38 out, and he's kind of written this season off. But yeah, better performance second half. Danielson's probably one of his stronger players, brought him in from Wolves. Yeah, he's got the goal there. Del Vecchio, who's surprised me really. He's got some good stats, but has never really done it I don't think he's been included in the Super League before, and he's had an okay season, okay game again tonight. But yeah, I mean, overall they were second best. Did a better account of them in the second half, better account of themselves in the second half, but still not enough to put any real pressure on the result.
Yeah, Zamorano comes on for a 7. I mean, he's got to solve. It's kind of like the old musical thing. How do you solve a problem like Andriy Shevchenko? He should be, in my opinion. I know it's Tsigalko. I know what the general conversations are around the different players. Andriy Shevchenko should be the top scorer in the Super League, I think. I mean, yeah, probably. He's got 2 stats under 17, or 2 attributes under 17, or something like that. Yeah, his aggression's maybe a little bit low, but he should be absolutely banging in the goals. But either way, we'll see what Alf comes up with, and we'll have a quick chat to the to the winning manager. What do you make of young Landon Donovan? Do you kind of wish that you'd brought him in earlier?
I really do, mate. That's 2 man of the matches in his last 2 games and 4 goals in 2 games, mate. He's fucking flying. What could have been, Martin? What could have been?
Well, there is that. What could still be? That's the other question. Yab Stab with an assist from that free kick. Donovan getting the other assist. Salas coming in and getting an assist. I mean, I know I would say it's a little bit too early to talk about a turnaround in fortunes, but 2-3-1 wins.
Look at Larson, mate. I just noticed that. Fuck.
Zero fitness. That's not.
Died, mate.
Doesn't bode well, does it?
I've not been seen him for a while.
Well, we did. I think we did have one. Was it last week? One went on zero fitness, and he was only out for like 3 weeks or something like that. So fingers
Is
crossed,
that
it's
right?
nothing too serious. Yeah, fingers crossed, it's nothing too serious. I guess there's nothing really to add to this. You'll definitely take this and look at the tackling percentage for your players there as well. They've pretty much all won their tackles, haven't they? 3-3, 3-2, 2-2, 3-3, 5-5. Very, very solid.
Delighted, mate. I think this formation just seems to be working a treat, and it's an away win and a home win, both 3-1. So I'm delighted, man. I think I've stumbled onto something that I'm going to stick with now just to see out the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's always you could say that it's always should you be unpredictable? Should you, it's a bit of a poker game. You know, what kind of tactic are you going to turn up with? But if you have a tactic that's really working well, getting you results, I mean, you can tweak things, but you need to be careful not to overthink things as well. And this has definitely worked out for you very well, very, very well this evening. We'll see if it'll let us save this one. Yep, it definitely did. So that's good. So that's that one sorted. So Dudley Hill beats Churchtown. Gazelles beat Bostock. Haggis beat Astor, as we just saw. 2-2 draw between Boston and Hull's Vikings in a very entertaining game. I mean, there were many entertaining games this evening, to be honest. Byrne with a bit of an unfortunate Toldo display, losing to Leddersford. Spartak's loss, a solid 3-1 victory over Fulchester. And league leaders Dragons. I mean, that was a very, very impressive performance from them. And they are now 1 point clear of Boston, who in themselves are 3 point clear of the Sloths, who again are 3 points clear of the Vikings. Fulchester on 29 as well. Bostock Stanley catching up on 26. And then we've got 25, 25, 25, 24, 24. So, I mean, it's a little bit like it. So, I mean,
if you harshly include the slots, which I think is a little harsh, I think the top two are definitely nailed on for the top six. That means you've got 4 spots and 9 teams who are all Sloths are well in the driving seat, but none of the others are too far away. I mean, you're 2 points off the top 6, Ian. You're 2 games into a winning run after a 7 games without a win. And Dudley Hill have come from nowhere near the bottom of the league. Churchtown were up in the top. I think the Churchtown were 3rd at one point, weren't they? And now they've dropped down to 10. It's
yeah, that's been a. I'm not sure what he's doing. It's look like one of those topographical things for the Tour de France stage or something like that. He's got going on here, Kieran. A bit of an up and down, literally an up and down season for them. Hools, obviously, the team on the rise. Really, quite interesting to have a look at these actually to see how it's going for some of the teams. If you look down at the bottom, Dragons. I mean, not a good day for any of the teams down at the bottom. Byrne, the closest ones to getting a victory, I think, and Astra Athletic, not well beaten, but beaten by Haggis Hunters, and Dragons obviously well beaten by the Devils. Let's have a look at the fixtures. That's a tough one for Asta there, taking on Leddersford, who scored 4. Obviously, another away game for them, but they've just proven that they can score away from home. We've got Bostock Stanley at home to Northern Byrne. Bostock, who are looking to cement their place in the top 6, playing Northern Byrne, who will hope that Toldo, a better version of Toldo, turns up next time. Churchtown against the Devils. That's going to be interesting for Kieran. Difficult to get back in form or get back in the results against a Devils side that's looking very strong. Dragons at home to Gazelles. Gazelles, who are a little bit sort of hit and miss. Could be a chance for the Dragons here. Fulchester at home to the Haggis Hunters. That's an interesting one. You fancy another 3-1 there, Ian?
I'd love it. It's going to be a toughie though. It's one of the hardest places to go. I'd be delighted to get anything out of the game, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, Sloth just beat them 3-1, so it's not impossible. Hull's Vikings against Dudley. That's a very, very interesting one, considering Hull's, who are really in form, up against Dudley, who's also pretty much in a form side at the moment. And then probably the pick of the bunch there, Spartak Sloths against Lokomotiv Boston. I mean, that's Sloth's guaranteed second if they win that game, isn't it? I mean, unless the goal difference is yeah, no, that's definitely guaranteed if they win this one, isn't it? They've got what plus 12 now, and Boston are only on plus 9. So Sloth will go second if they win their next game. That's that's a big one. Be looking forward to the celebrations for that. A second home game for them in a row there as well. Very, very interesting games coming up. Quick look at the player stats before we close out for the evening. I just wanted to see the top scorers. It's in Penson, Cloyvard, Collins, Tomadera. Yeah, I mean they are strikers, but as we mentioned there's not a bunch of strikers that are sitting on like 15 goals. Just a few there. And to give up someone like Mendieta or Nedved to get an Elba who's on 7, would you really consider doing that? Not when you've got Landon Donovan in your side, I think.
He's just a
Any,
wee bit lower than that.
he's well, he'll be in there shortly. I mean, I remember Ryan saying that Montella. Ryan was insisting that Montella would make the top. What was it that you said, Ryan? Top 5 or top 3 or something like that?
I signed him midway through the first season, and he scored 4 goals and was down in like I don't know. He wasn't in on the screen, I don't think. And I said he scored 3 goals with about 10 games to go, and I said he'd probably make the top 5, and I think he made finish 7th in that first season. But then that second season, he just ran away with it, didn't he?
Yeah. Donovan already on 4. Yeah, 4 and 4 for Landon Donovan. Good progress being made here. So right. In the interest of time and things like that, I'm going to call it there and say thank you very much, Ian, for joining. Thank you very much, Ryan, for joining as well.
Thank you very much, Martin. Ian, good to chat to you. Thanks a lot for joining us, Super League fans.
Yeah, thank you very much for everyone who's watching along there. Another night of very, very interesting action in the league. I'll leave you with a quick glance at the table here. Devils at the top, and Dragons at the bottom. Not a good day for the mythical creatures at the bottom. Better day for the for the Devils at the top. And yeah,
you can still say mythical creatures there, Martin. I think.
Yeah. I suppose. Well, depending on your perspective, Ryan. Anyway, it's going to be interesting next round. Plenty of talking points, plenty of good games to look forward to. So thank you very much once again for joining. Apologies for the thing with the comments earlier on. It seemed to fix itself towards the end. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening, and I'll speak to you all again soon.